Imagine waking up and realizing the ground beneath your feet has been quietly redrawn overnight. Streets you grew up walking are suddenly cut off. Landmarks disappear behind walls that were never meant to protect you, only to contain you. What you're seeing isn't chaos, it's design. A system that has stopped pretending to be temporary and has become something else entirely. An architecture of control so precise it reshapes reality itself. And this matters right now because this isn't just about one place. It's about what happens when power operates without limits. When land, movement, and even identity can be reorganized at will, it sets a precedent, a dangerous one. Because if this becomes normalized, it redefines what we accept as livable conditions for entire populations. Look at what's happening behind the scenes. This isn't just conflict, it's a slow restructuring of life. Land is continuously taken, but not just taken, fragmented. Communities are split into isolated pockets. What used to be a 10-minute drive becomes a 4-hour ordeal through checkpoints, permits, and surveillance. That's not inconvenience, that's control embedded into daily life. And here's the pattern most people miss. Control doesn't just operate through force, it operates through systems. One group moves freely, builds, expands, thrives. Another is confined, restricted, constantly negotiating basic movement. That's not accidental inequality. That's a system organizing reality itself, deciding who gets to live normally and who is forced to adapt to pressure. But the deeper layer is narrative. Because no system like this survives on control alone. It requires justification. The people living under these conditions are reduced to a single story, dangerous, irrational, a constant threat. Their culture is flattened, their beliefs are distorted. And once that happens, everything else becomes easier to justify. The destruction of hospitals, the erasure of universities, the targeting of libraries, archives, even ancient ecosystems, centuries-old trees, farmland, water sources. These aren't collateral. They are part of the pattern. So ask yourself, if the goal is security, why is civilian infrastructure repeatedly targeted? Why is cultural memory erased? Why does land expansion continue at the same time restrictions tighten? Because when you zoom out, it stops looking like defense and starts looking like transformation. Not just of territory, but of existence itself. Now, to be fair, the dominant narrative says this is all necessary, that these measures are about protection, about stability, about responding to threats. But that explanation collapses when you look at consistency. Security doesn't require permanent inequality. It doesn't require rewriting the landscape or dismantling the foundations of civilian life. And it certainly doesn't explain why the same patterns repeat over decades. What you're really looking at is a system maintaining itself. A system where land is taken, people are separated into entirely different realities, and daily life is shaped by restriction, where even nature isn't spared, and history itself is at risk of being erased. So the question isn't just what you call it. The question is what you do when you recognize it. Because once you see the pattern, once you understand how land, power, and narrative work together, it becomes impossible to ignore. And that leaves us here. If the evidence is visible, if the structure is clear, why do so many still look away? And more importantly, what would it actually take for that to change? Because this isn't just one story. It's part of a much larger pattern of how power operates, and what happens when people decide to challenge it.